So, uh, welcome everybody. I'm really excited to welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today we're going to introduce the use of open educational resources and practices, and welcome everybody, demonstrate how these tools could contribute to the transformation of school education. I'm overwhelmed to introduce my dear friend and colleague Rosa Doran, and give the microphone to her. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikos. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm also very happy from the introduction to be here, to thank Gustavo for the technical assistance, and to have with us also Rola Sayeg, who is, I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly, Rola. We're friends for such a long time. I have no idea if this is the way to pronounce your name.
Close enough. Close enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, it's just a webinar with the great people around. Today you have a forehand webinar, so I hope this will go well. I will start introducing you to open educational resources and why should we care about that. And then we will have Rola continuing presenting to us a little bit more profoundly what open educational resources are and why should we care about that. I mean, I have to say that some years ago, not so long ago, I didn't really know what open educational resources were. I think I started hearing about that in 2012. And they were there for a long time and I didn't know about its existence. And even though at that time, I didn't realize how important this was. Nowadays, I think we have no other option but accept that this is important. It is here to stay, and we have to learn how to take the most of the benefit and to benefit the world with the open educational resources that we produce. So let's start the presentation. I am going to share my screen with you. Okay, so you probably see my PowerPoint, and I just need you to confirm that you see my PowerPoint in presentation mode. Gustavo, do you confirm that?
Yes, we do.
Thank you very much. So again, this is one more webinar from the Learning from the Extremes collection of webinars. If you are here, you already discovered us. If you're not here, then I hope that the colleagues that are here are going to tell you that we exist. This webinar is being recorded and it's going to be available in the Learning from the Extremes YouTube channel so that you can refer to colleagues to come and watch. We know that not all the teachers from the project and outside the project can come at this timing, but we had to make a compromise of timing, trying to accommodate as much as possible the timing of everyone. So here we go. We are going to learn today how you can transform school education with open educational resources and practices. And I will start. I apologize for the noise. There are the people cutting the garden just in front of my window. It's a beautiful garden, but they like to cut it whenever I go into a webinar. It's the third time that this is happening. So we have to take care of that in the future. So we will start by revisiting the life of a teacher. So I am one of these people that is very privileged, and I get to travel the world and meet teachers in several different places in the planet. And I don't think I've ever really met a teacher whose purpose was not to empower their students. Sometimes they do a lousy work with that. Sometimes they are not prepared to embrace inclusion, as we have already talked about that. Sometimes they have very strict view on education, but they all are there because they believe they have a role in society, which is preparing students for the future. And all of them want to do the best they can in order to fulfill this vision. Well, in particular for the team here from the Learning from the Extremes, technology is a big thing. Everyone is talking about technology and how technology is changing our lives and how, you know, having a computer, a mobile phone, a smartwatch, everything will change and completely make our lives different when we are working with the students. So we heard for the last 10 or 15 years schools being more and more well-equipped. We hear about future classroom labs. We hear about maker spaces. We hear about every student having their own device. We hear about using mobile phones, iPads, or tablets, better say. And the thing is that we often find schools that are super well equipped, but still teachers aren't using the technology that is available there. It's not the technology that makes the difference. It's how prepared the teachers are to make use of this technology. Otherwise, it makes no difference if your school has a Rolls-Royce computer for each and every student, if you're not using it appropriately. So this is something that is important. Another thing is when we start finding resources on the internet. All of us go to the internet and search for something. And some of you know that you have to be careful with everything that you look for, because you don't know if it has been reviewed, if it has copyright, if it is really free, if it requires you to use a specific software, if you can change it to adequate it to your purpose and your needs. If there is any support, I mean, imagine you start using something that you find out, and in the end, you don't find the proper support, and in the middle of the way, you will lose the companion that you would like to have. Does it fit the curricula, etc., etc., etc.? So this is a daunting task, and we all know how hard that is. Also, we are all listening all the time about, innovation, innovative methodologies. We have to change the way we are educating children. We have to be more inclusive. We have to engage them in a different way for learning. We have to put the students at the center stage. So there are plenty of methodologies helping us with that. We already also saw this slide in some of my previous presentations. I mean, am I going to use STEAM and work in an interdisciplinary way with teachers from STEAM domains? Are we using the flipped classroom where, students are going to watch a video online and then we are going to discuss in the classroom? Are we going to use the inquiry-based methodology? Are we going to use maker spaces? Are we going to use design thinking for education, which was the topic from last presentation? So on and so forth. So I can present you a number of things. Which app am I going to use? Am I going to use any app at all? What is these things about apps? What are they useful for? Should I, use this? Shouldn't I? Well, this is something that we're going to discuss. Where do I find resources? I mean, how do I find the correct resource? There are millions of resources online. How do I look for them? If I don't know how to properly look for resources, I will find billions and billions and billions of them. So how do I introduce the proper terminology in the browser? How do I diminish the number of results that will appear to me? Do I know how to search for it? Do I know how to search for things that I can edit? Do I know how to search for things that have quality? Well, of course, by this time of the year and after everything that has happened, you already know that you need some travel companion, you need training, you need to find people that will support you navigating this road towards innovation and the integration of new things. And of course, after only these slides that I just presented to you, I know that some of you are saying, this is one of these talks. Okay, so no, I'm not going to do that. I'm already doing my thing. It's working well, except that sometimes life changes and there's nothing that we can do but change. And we all know what I'm talking about. And I mean, here at Nucleo, we are doing this innovation with technology for quite a long time already. But we know that some teachers were completely taken aback when all of a sudden they had to change their style and start working with their students online. And most of them had no idea how to do that. And I know that some of you felt completely outside of your comfort zone when you had to do that. It was something that there was nothing you could do about that. Well, some teachers just replicated what they did in the classroom. Okay, no worries. I have my Blackboard here. I will use the same methodology I always used. It always worked very well. So that's fine. Students are at home. they have their computers, whenever that was possible. I would just replicate that. Everything is going to be fine. And guess what? It didn't work. Because having someone sitting behind the screen for 8 hours or 5 hours continuously doesn't work. People lose their attention. Even you, I mean, we train teachers online all the time. And we know that after some time, they are looking at the camera, but they are not seeing you. They might be watching the game behind the computer. They are in their pajamas and feeling sleepy, or the students might be even playing a game or watching a movie in the computer while you're talking to them. So it doesn't work. It simply doesn't work like that. But you can say, yeah, but that problem is gone now because, you know, we can go back to the classroom. Well, that problem will never be gone because now that we have started introducing technology and new models to students' life, we cannot go back. Technology is here to stay. New methodologies are here to stay. And in fact, the need for training didn't emerge because of the pandemic. It was there all the time. We just didn't notice it. And now it is completely uncovered. And we know that teachers need training, need support, and need to know how to navigate to a new trend to education that brings students closer to the world of work than they are right now. So we really need to understand how, as a society, we can contribute to teachers to embrace technology. Technology, yes, but not just having technology. Just having technology to say, oh, I'm a super school, I have everything that is necessary, and then someone goes there and supervise the school and I have everything in place, doesn't mean that students are learning. That doesn't work like that. It works if you are using it properly. The same goes for resources. You know, can I find proper resources? Yes, you can find lots of resources online, but you need to know how to find them. Which are the ones that I can use? How do I produce and share my resources? I don't know how often I have heard teachers saying, oh, you know, I've done that. We are doing this in my school, and it's all there. In my school website, you'll find everything there. You know, everything you need to know, it's there. You just go there, it's free. How many times have you heard that? You know, the resource is there, it's for free. Okay, no one will find it because it's in your school and the website of your school is not that popular, it's not that famous. So how do you make the materials that you produce known to other teachers that might benefit from your work? The same goes for methodologies. Yeah, great, you can learn any methodology, but you need travel companions to help you navigate the methodology, to help you understand which one is good for what. So this, by the way, is the topic of the next webinar in 2 weeks from now, where we are going to be talking to you on how to integrate these methodologies with open educational resources, with assessment tools, and how to create your own resources. So today we are going to talk about open educational resources. We are going to discover the world of apps and resources and tools and websites and platforms, and how you can be confident that you are doing a good job with it. So I will stop sharing my screen and I will give the word to Rola, who will then now present to you the project that we collaborate together. It's called Open Teach. It's a super nice project, and I'm really glad to pass the floor over to Rola. Rola, they are yours.
So, hi everyone. Thank you, Rosa, for the introduction. Today, we want to talk a little bit about open education. What is it? What are open education resources? And I don't really believe that you've never used open education resources, honestly. If you have seen an image online or even in a book, it doesn't always have to be digital. But if you have seen an image or a chart or a text or a story or a worksheet and you thought, okay, this could be useful for my classroom, and you used it in your classroom, hey, you have used open education resources. It's as simple as that. The only problem is there's some hesitation. Am I allowed to use it? Is this the right one for me? And this is where further training and knowledge about open education resources is important. So it all starts with open education as a concept. Open education mainly has no one definition, believe it or not. It's been there for 50, 60 years now as a concept. There's no one right definition for it, but there's a spectrum of definitions. And it starts from us using and sharing our expertise and knowledge of methodologies that work for our classroom. It has to do with this community collaboration. It also has to do with using open education resources, which are simply content used for education that are freely attainable. Or also here we have a certain area or a spectrum of how free it is. What can I really do with it? Is it okay to use it as is? Can I reuse it in my own way, change maybe a couple of words here, a sentence there? So today we're going to talk about this. But at the end of the day, open education is simply education that is shared openly with the world between you as colleagues in the school and the communities globally. And it has to, it follows actually several areas. So whether it has to start with the school itself and the policies at schools, or it has to do with the policies in your country, you know, at the end of the day, you as a teacher, what you need to know is sharing the methodologies you use, sharing your knowledge, sharing your expertise, sharing material in your classroom with other teachers. You are already working with open education. And a very important part of it is collaboration. A very important part of it is that you actually allow students to experience this as well, not only you as teachers, but also to get to the point where, okay, students are now collaborating as well. Students are even creating their own material. Imagine that, yeah? They are contributing, if not alone creating, with you to create their own teaching and learning material. So what are open education resources specifically? As we said, they could be digital, they could be non-digital resources. It could be a text, it could be a worksheet, it could be an image, a chart, a video, a game, a simulation, an online lab. It could be anything that is used for educational purposes. It's as simple as that. And then comes the different levels. And this is where I believe I heard from many teachers. This is what am I allowed to do? What am I not allowed to do? Where do I find the correct ones? Are these of good quality? Are these resources suitable for me and my classroom? Well, this is the good thing. What we try to do with Open Teach, and this is now the project we're going to talk a little bit about today, not the whole time, is we try to provide the teachers with a very basic but very essential online training on what is open education as a concept, what is the framework of this, what does it mean for me to be part of this movement of open education, and how do I use these open education resources? Where exactly do I find them? What licenses do they have? What do they mean? If you've seen Rosa's presentation earlier, she had the CC BY 4.0. What does that even mean? So these little details, once you learn them, and you familiar with them, yeah, it becomes very easy for you to navigate online, to use any content you need. So Open Teach, which is an Erasmus Plus project as well, just like Learning from the Extremes, is actually offering you the opportunity. It goes for that. So it's openteach.eu, Gustavo, if you would like to share it. So it's openteach.eu, open-teach.eu, and when you visit the page, you will see transforming school education with quality assured open education resources and practices. Now, this is the English version. Everything that you see is also available in German, Greek, and Portuguese. So if you're more comfortable using other languages from these languages, please, you can, whenever you visit the website, you're free to do. And what we try to offer here in Open Teach is, as I told you, a kind of a training on what is open education, what are open education resources, where do I find them, how do I check the quality of these resources, who says this content is good enough for my classroom, who says that this content I can use or not, what kind of license does it mean? So this is the platform. Actually, once you sign up, you have access to your own bookshelf, you have access to different resources. And maybe I will start here with the courses. where you will see what kind of training we offer you. This is all for free. You simply sign up, you get activation email, and that's it. So a very basic introduction on OER, Open Education Resources, OEP, Open Education Practices. How do I find suitable OERs? And here we literally try to make it, you find what you need. So if you already are familiar with OER, OEP, maybe you take 5 minutes to navigate the module. But if you really want to learn about how do I find them, how do I find images, how do I find worksheets, how do I find simulations, videos, yeah? So we made it in a way that you can immediately see what you need, a targeted kind of module where you don't have to spend a full year learning, where you might go for half an hour, get what you need and leave, or 1 hour, or whatever you need. So for instance, here, how do I use search engines? How do I use Google the best possible way? OERs and content for videos, images, for text, everything. So as you see, we have divided it depending on, hopefully, an easier way for you to navigate. An important aspect whenever I want to use this kind of online resources, because here the focus is on online resources, is to actually understand what is a good quality for these resources. There are millions of content online, but how do I know this is better than the other? Or where do I look to understand what makes a good OER? Is it only it has to look nice, or does it have to also to do with the content? Does it have to do with the format it is in? If I get an image and it's all point, these pixels, is this something I want to use with my students in the classroom? So what is really quality? How do I assess it to develop a common understanding of this? What are these licenses and copyright rules? Am I allowed to use it, or am I going to get fined if I use it? You know? How do I create OERs to create my own? And how do I share them? And how do I work with the community? How do I share my experience? How can I ask for help? How can I ask for support? And we also have a module on innovative practices and innovative teaching methodologies. And this is what Rosa also mentioned earlier. It's all about students. It's all about learner-centered methodologies. But how do I move one step at a time? You might be doing much more than you think. It's just the wording sometimes. So maybe when I read about this methodology and say, hey, I already do this in my classroom, maybe if I do this additional part, it will become more interesting or better for my students. And then we also have this concept of some basic digital skills. How do I edit a video? How do I work with Word documents? How do I make a nice presentation with PowerPoint, for instance? No? So this is the kind of basic training, we call it, or at least the training that would enable you to feel more confident to go into open education, to go into open educational resources. And this is one part of what we are offering here. The best part is if you decide to say, okay, let me check this out, let me do some training. As you are actually doing these online courses, we do have these little tiny assignments and activities where, as you are getting trained, you will eventually make your own collection of resources, which is in this case, open education resources. And you will learn how to upload your own resources, how to create your own resources, how to evaluate other colleagues' resources, and so on and so forth. So here in this on the platform, you have a full catalog of different resources where you can go there, you can evaluate them, you can add your own resources, for instance, here, you can manage them yourselves. You say, hey, I want to make my own collection on this platform. Okay, I want to use some other things from other colleagues. So here you can take someone else's resources and duplicate them and reuse them. Of course, you learn how to read the licenses and you can make your own collection. Don't forget, collaboration is a crucial part in anything here, because I need sometimes help. Sometimes me sharing an experience with other colleagues is as important as me taking a full course on open education resources. A little tip sometimes helps. So we have these communities where you have some support from the partners and from other teachers. So teachers who are more experts, they can support you with questions. And we have these communities multilingual. So you have in Portuguese, in Greek, in German, and the English one in case you want to communicate not only in a national language. So this is what we try to put together. So we thought, okay, teachers are interested, teachers would like to learn more, but maybe a little bit of support is needed. So get some training, get a place where you can collect different things in one place, get support from a community, from even experts to actually help you understand and navigate the world of open education resources and open education. I think, Rosa, from my side, this is a general view. Of course, the more you go deeper, the more you see different areas you can manage your own skills and competencies, you can manage your own badges and development process as you are getting the training that you need on the platform. But I think this is a bit too much details. But as a whole, if you are interested in getting started, or if you already have an idea but would like to improve your knowledge on OERs and OPs and open education in general, I really invite you to check out open-teach.eu, and from there sign up, check out these courses, again, available in different languages. And from there, without noticing, you will build your own your own collection of resources. You will build your own community of teachers asking and getting support. And of course, we are there as well to help you. So I don't know, Gustavo, for later questions, but Rosa, I think for the time being, that's a general introduction, I would say.
That was awesome. Thank you very much, Ro. I think it was very clear. I don't know if the participants online want to ask any question. Please just feel free to have them here on the chat. You can type your questions. We'll be very glad to help you. And in case you don't feel confident in doing that, we can do it. You can send your questions later on. While you type your questions, I will share my screen again, and just
I'll keep an eye on the chat.
You keep
because
exactly.
There's a lag between the transmission here and
exactly. And I want to show you a few more things here. Let me just find the correct window, which currently I can't. My computer is playing tricks on me. Don't think that computers just play tricks on you. That's not a standard. It's in everyone's. We always need to have a backup plan. And let me try it again. Okay. So I'm sharing with you the Learning from the Extremes YouTube channel to let you, just to remind you that all the webinars are recorded and you can watch them here. There is this, this list, the complete list of webinars that were already recorded. You can see you have the first one was this one for schools that were willing to develop further and maybe send teachers to mobility actions or to summer schools like the one that we are going to have in July for learning from the extremes, or how to write Erasmus KA2 to collaborate with other colleagues. There are some very interesting hints in this first one, the meeting the needs of our school through Erasmus projects. Then there was a second one where we learned about robotic telescopes with Fraser Lewis. There was a third one where we learned how to use the images acquired with the telescope and how to process those images. It was done with the help of Gustavo and Fraser Lewis. There was one introducing you to the Learning from the Extremes portal and everything that you can benefit from participating in using this portal. And the last webinar, not today, of course, was one related to innovation and inclusion in education. So you can watch these webinars, you can refer these things to colleagues of yours. So please disseminate this so that your colleagues can benefit from these opportunities. And of course, this webinar is also being recorded and will be available to your colleagues. You also will find a list of future webinars, and I am going to put this here. In this link, you can accompany the webinars. You will see that the next one will be about teachers as creators and designers of digital and blended lessons. Hopefully we'll be with our good friend Rola again, showing another amazing project that will help teachers integrate everything together. And I think this is really beneficial for teachers from learning from the extremes that will learn how to integrate open education resources, the equipment that you acquired, and how you transform all of this into lessons that are centered in the students, and how can you benefit from all of this and use technology on your to help you, to assist you with that. We're going to have on May 10 a webinar devoted to makerspaces. How can you address school curricula and have creative ideas for your projects during this webinar? The one on the 24th is going to change. We are going to have a virtual visit to the European Southern Observatory. That's right, you're going to Chile with us, and we're going to visit the observatory live. And then you're going to learn with Gustavo how you can make a virtual visit with your students, maybe to a content that already exists digitally, and how can you benefit from such opportunities. And the list will continue. There are more webinars coming. Usually they take place on Wednesdays at 4 CET. So please register, and in this link that I shared with you, you have somewhere there, I don't see it where it is right now, but you have here exactly the form where you register to manifest your interest, and we will keep you informed about future webinars. And also you can keep an eye on the Learning from the Extremes community in the School of the Future portal, where also, as you can see, the webinars are announced or are always announced, and you can keep track of them and also invite your colleagues to participate. If you are learning from the Extreme School, please join this community, please join this portal. If you are not, please join as well. You're very welcome to participate and make use of all the things that we are gathering and clustering together in this space where we want to build a real community of users, where we want to have all the teachers and schools communicating with each other. And I think that's what we have. Let's see the comments here. I have Chris Nicodemo saying, I'm interested in the use of VR in English lessons. Would I be able to easily find material on this? Rola, do you have anything to say to Chris?
Well, I know for a fact that the use of VR for language, mainly it's about, let's say, visiting places. For instance, if you are teaching French, no? There are some tools online. I've personally seen a couple, but I've never used them in a classroom, where you can actually go visit a cafe in France and order in French. And, you know, so they give you this kind of experience. I think with VR, it has to do as well with what kind of technology are you using in the school and what is compatible, depending on the glasses you have, or if it's going to be just a digital tool on a common screen. No, so it really depends on what technology or tools do you have at one level, because it's VR. On the other, there is already something available online regarding, well, you have to be not to be smart about it, but you can always reuse things. So if you have a VR map that is available, you may repurpose the concept of why this VR map was out there, if you're allowed to use it, and then make it as a visit for a historical museum in Vienna, for instance, if you want to learn something there. But for a specific, I don't know if we have something listed. I don't have any specific example for a VR platform, but I'm pretty sure if you go online, you might find, depending on the softwares you are using.
Yeah, Gustavo, we have we have something from D-Stars, right? Which is a platform, but that's not for language, although it can be used for language as well. D-Stars has the possibility of using virtual reality, correct?
Yes, the storytelling platform is compatible with VR glasses. I will share
Share the link.
The link to the website here is a very nice project, and it's open to everyone that is interested. And then you can build a digital story in the platform. It has different backgrounds. It can be on the moon, it can be on Mars, it can be on space, it can be on Earth. And then you can interact with the story elements in this virtual reality environment.
Actually, Gustavo, this is a good topic for a webinar, I think, introducing the D-Stars platform, because it can be used to so many purposes. I mean, we used it in a project where we had all students from 5th grade participating, and it was a really genuine STEAM project where all teachers from 5th grade collaborated in the creation of the student story. And they used augmented reality, they used virtual reality, they used mobile phones to capture videos. I don't know, it was really super rich. So we ought to consider a webinar like that. That might enrich and help you with your project and your ideas.
And by the way, there are many on the stores, Apple Store, Google Store. I mean, it really depends on what tools you are using, but there's always something. It could be something that is a 3D virtual reality thing that is used in a common screen, or it could be a individual app with the goggle glasses and everything that you need. So I can't think of anything else, but I know, let's say I sometimes use Google Play and Samsung stores to go and check, let's say, some games there, and you can repurpose everything there. I mean, a lot of things you can rethink of them in a creative way to actually fit your own purposes in the classroom. And this is how you repurpose open educational resources.
Wow, great idea. You know, one message that I think is very important is that you should not fear experimenting, because even if you fail miserably with your students, they are the first ones to provide you ideas on which resources to use. And if you should try it and you fail miserably, you're still learning with your students. So, you know, there's a learning curve for all this equipment and methodologies and technologies, and you can't really go very wrong. I mean, even if the purpose you reach is not exactly what you expected, a lot is built while you're doing and experimenting with this thing. So yeah, don't be scared. Ask your students, bring apps, bring them on, and start trying it. Okay. No more questions from the audience. We have been having very quiet audiences. I don't know if it is because they are very shy, if it is because we are boring. Maybe you are being too boring here. Gustavo, Nikos, what do you think? We're running boring webinars, or?
You don't fish for compliments, Rosa. You're never boring, you know.
No boring. Well, I don't know. They may be shy of putting questions.
I think shy is the right answer.
Maybe I can share something with you. We didn't say this at the beginning, but I am originally a teacher, and I actually taught English for 14 years until I wanted to move a little bit more into educational technology and the use of technology. And then I went in a bit different field. Nevertheless, I remember when I was a teacher, in my experience, there was once where we were asked to create our own curriculum and our own learning content. Can you imagine that? Like, out of nowhere, the school just told us, hey guys, from now on, we're moving into a different direction. No more buying books, no more using stuff that are not fitting for our culture, not fitting for our students. I mean, I was teaching in Beirut, in Lebanon, yeah, and then I had people we were reading stories it's always important to read about other cultures, but even the names of the people were not relevant to the students. Even the names of places like Times Square. Okay, it's nice for them to know what Times Square is, but they've never been there. They can't relate to the events of the stories there. So for instance, no? So there was a part where I was teaching elementary as well, so the little ones. And we wanted to create our own kind of content, our own material, our own curriculum, the whole 9 yards. You cannot imagine. So I was like, okay, I don't even know what the kids come from. I don't even know in the sense of what are their favorite names, what are their favorite animals, what are their favorite type of food as well, things that they would like to learn about that they don't know about. So we spent a full week just asking students. Of course, we did it in an activity way. We did it in an educative way, of course. Yeah, let's say in group work, you're going to now share your favorite cities that you would like to visit, or where have you already been on vacation. And then we integrated that into every single worksheet, more or less, yeah, into their worksheets, into their storytelling that we used to do in the classroom. And suddenly the kids were, hey, I know that place. I went with my family on that vacation there. Okay, so you're going to be the one telling us more about that in the next session. No? So we were able to really link whatever the kids were learning to their actual life, and of course, making them get to know new cultures, new places, and everything as they're supposed to. But when Rosa was saying, hey, ask the students, yes, ask the students. They know much more than teachers, honestly. And you have, let's say, I don't know, 30 brains in the classroom. Imagine that. So 30 different backgrounds, 30 different ideas that might come along if you ask one question. So I always say, start with the students. It's not a waste of time. It might feel like it at that moment when you say, I'm going to take that session just to collect information, to get to know my students. It's not a waste of time. It builds on a very motivating and interesting learning journey together for a full year. And I'm saying it from experience because it was really challenging when we were asked to do something like that, to create our open educational resources, our own thing that had certain criteria that should also fit to the national curriculum we were teaching, to the international curriculum we were applying. And we started with the students. That's what we did. And it was one of the best decisions we did, because we struggled the whole summer between each other trying, oh, do they like this? Do we want to put this? Do we want to put that? And when the students came back to school, it took us just a week to really know what we want to give them. So that's personal experience, but also I know it's already out there that you should always start with the students.
Thank you for that, Rola. Actually, you just described the session that I gave last week. So if you didn't watch it, you can still go and watch. Rola is just describing what we call design thinking. This is exactly what it is. So she designed things and she created something that is suitable to all students, which is part of the universal design for learning. So inclusion, design thinking, all, in the hands of, in a story that told us how what happens if you apply that. And also, I think she described something that is a dream. Actually, we've been discussing this for a while. I have this dream of creating the flying bee. It's the flying book, which I call for the digital book, where, teachers together create their own book with decolonization, with introducing the things that are important for their students and relevant for the social and cultural background, and with examples that are, again, relevant to them, targeting the curriculum, using the methodologies, the tools, the apps, everything that they think they should use. So, and maybe this project is just around the corner, who knows? Maybe coming to us much faster than you can imagine, fingers crossed. So, yeah, Paula Freire asked, it's good idea webinar about VR and ER. Okay, Paula, your wishes are going to come true, I hope. We're going to try and find a good speaker to share with us this. Artificial intelligence is also going to come our way, how to use it for education. And more, there are more fun things that, well, we really hope that by the end of LFE, the Learning from the Extremes project, you are going to send out thousands of emails saying, please keep the webinars going. We might, you never know. Okay, I don't see any other comments, anything else. So I think I pass the floor back to Nikos to close the session. Nikos? You're muted.
Yes, of course, I'm muted. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you, Rola. Thank you, Gustavo. And thank you all for participating in this webinar from different countries all over Europe and the world. And please keep on visiting our website to be informed about our next webinars, and keep go to openteach.edu to see the very good courses and program and resources that are available there. And again, thank you, and see you in 2 weeks with a new webinar from LFE, and we will keep you posted from our social media and from our platform. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care.